Welcome, Pirate fans, to the BergFan.com Spring Preview Show, Part 2, this time featuring Coach Michael Estep of the boys baseball team. Big thank you to our sponsor for this preview show, Misty's Cone Shop, home of the Pirate Hour. So please support our sponsor. Visit Misty's for us. In Part 1 of the Spring Preview, we met with Coach Teresa Ruby from the girls softball team. She gave us an insight and previewed her season for us. And the girls got off to a great start as they went to 1-0 and beat a tough non-conference team in Piketon. BergFan.com brought you that game. In Part 2 tonight, we have Coach Michael Estep. So he's going to preview the season. He's going to let you know some of the tough non-conference games the Pirates will face. He's going to let you know about some of the seniors, their motto this year. It's a great interview with Coach Estep to give some insight on the Pirate baseball team. Both teams, softball and baseball, are scheduled to play Wednesday, April 4th, both home against West right now, weather permitting. So catch one of those games for us. BergFan.com will be at the home baseball game. So if you can't make it to the ballpark, take a listen for us and help us out. So once again, this preview show is brought to you by Misty's Cone Shop. They've been a great sponsor for us, and we still have sponsorships available. So if you'd like to sponsor a game, a baseball game or softball game, or any of our interviews, please let us know. We'd be happy to talk about that. So let's take a listen to Coach Estep. All right, we are here now with Coach Estep of the Wheelersburg baseball team. Coach Estep, thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me, Tom.
All right, so we have a little coaches preview show that Berg fan wanted to do for both baseball and softball this year. And Coach Estep asked you some similar questions that Coach Ruby answered on our softball program. So first off, why don't you give me a recap of last year and let everyone know how the Pirates finished last year up?
Well, it was another successful season. The group of seniors that we had last year coming into the season, some of them had been obviously, a part of our program for the duration of their time in high school, and had, done some good things leading into their senior year, and we're looking to kind of cap off a great senior season with a good tournament run and things. And it was preceded by a 13th straight SOC championship, another district, crown, and then running into Berlin Highland there in the regional final, which has kind of been a nemesis for the last 2 years, and it was a good ball game. Ended up 2-0, and they played in the state championship game, and I think just fell short, and that's probably been one of the things. If you look over the last 10 years, I think all but one, maybe 2 times have we either not won the state championship, or the crew that have beat us in the tournament have gone on to win it. And so you kind of get to that point, and you're really splitting hairs in terms of the competition and things, and it's just a big hit there, or making a play in the course of an inning on defense, and making an important pitch, but that's the difference. And so we've been right there on the brink in other seasons, but was certainly proud of the group of young men last year, and to get to that point, and that's probably one of the things I guess I'm most proud of, year in and year out, that our guys maintain a level of consistency and accept the challenges placed in front of them with the expectations that are there. And it was a great year in 2017, and looking forward to hopefully an even better run this year.
So as we move on to 2018, and you referenced some of my next question before, but obviously the Wheelersburg baseball program has a rich tradition. Even before you were there with Coach Brandon and all the things that the baseball program has done. But, obviously you've taken it to new levels. and everyone remembers obviously the 2 state championships. But talk about the run of regional championships you went on, and touch on some of that.
Yeah, it's something people ask me periodically. Do you ever kind of just take a step back? And at this point, I think when you're in the grind of it, you really don't. One season takes place, and you try and I think grab onto every moment. But then when that season is done, your mindset goes to the next one. It really does. The good part of that, and I think any coach would tell you, is that the success that some of those folks have had in prior years, though, definitely establishes a level of expectation. And growing up through the Little League programs here in any of the sports, our community does a great job of instilling that in them. And obviously the stands are filled on Friday nights and Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday nights in basketball season. And we're usually not crossing paths a bunch during baseball season and things, but by the time we get to the tournament, you'll see some of the little leaguers in the stands and things on the night off and coming to support our baseball program. But that's really where the foundation is. And I think any of our coaches here in our program would reference that as being a very integral part to the success that is maintained from year to year. Am very, very proud of our guys that they do, and they come and they put the work in. Sometimes, depending on the year, it may start in the fall. And if we have some young men that are not fall sport kid, or maybe even a winter sport kid that are coming in and maybe putting long toss time in, or playing a little fall baseball, or whatever it may be, depending on, again, the individual. All of those things are ingredients of a school when you're in Division III size, where we have to try and share hopefully all of our best athletes among the sports, that we don't get them very long for preparation. On this year's team, we got Connor probably 4 or 5 days, Mason Montgomery as well as a young freshman, just a few days before our first scrimmage game. And so to try and acclimate them in real quick, and obviously Ohio's weather presents its challenges as well. But all of those things don't supersede the expectations. They don't. And we still try and find a way to get those guys ready quick and go out and maintain a level of excellence on the field.
Okay, well, now you referenced some guys for this year's team. So, talk about some of the players on this year's team. Talk about your seniors.
Well, we have 4 of them this year that have been with us. We have Cole Dyer, Xander Carmichael, Matt Marshall, and Jadron Guthrie. When you talk about the first 2 with Xander and Cole, they have really been a part of our varsity program for the prior 2 years, starting behind the plate there with Xander as a sophomore. That was a tough decision that year, to be honest. I mean, we have 2 very, very capable young men with the inclusion of Caden Coleman in that storyline, and we had to try and find a way to make our team the best that it could be position-wise. But the unfortunate part of that was there was a good catcher someplace that was going to be playing another spot, and so we just decided that we were going to set Xander back there. And for the last 2 seasons, he did a great job for us back there and grew in the position, understanding how to be a leader behind the plate, and obviously bringing a very physical presence to the position. We shut down people's running games, for the last 2 years. And, when you're limiting people on the bases and trying to force them to put together hits back-to-back, that makes generating offense a little more difficult. And then, obviously, his presence in the lineup, he's hit in the middle of the lineup for the last 2 years, and ran into a little, injury, and, fortunately was able to get through and finish a great senior year with state championship in football. And, the day after Christmas have surgery, and is finding his way back. And as he came back from Easter break, he got a report from Dr. Krimchek that he's going to be able to get back in the lineup here next Monday. And so we're really excited to have his offensive presence, even though he won't catch during his senior year or play a position. We're definitely excited from an offensive end. Cole Dyer was a staple for us at third base last year, and even DH'd and played a little bit of infield as a sophomore. And so he's been through the wars with us, understands what it means to play in a big game, and started off in a great way here this past Saturday, and 3 for 4 with a couple home runs up at the VA facility, and has worked really hard and committed himself to trying to play baseball beyond the high school level, and looking at a couple different schools, West Virginia Tech being one of them, where he would like to pursue some engineering, and the school was very reputable around the country for offering that program. And so really excited to see kind of what happens here during his senior year and the options that might be presented if he continues to play in the way that he started off. And then the other two are, there are program kids for us. Doesn't happen too often in this day and age. Sometimes when people aren't, I guess, being fed a little bit of the pie, so to speak, early on, the love that they generate for that particular sport may waver a little bit. But these two guys have stuck right with us, the whole time, and from their freshman year on, coming to conditioning sessions and things, and really not knowing year in and year out what their role exactly was going to be, but just that, hey, whatever it is, I'm going to come out and accept it and do whatever I can to help the program. And so really excited for Matt Marshall. He is definitely going to be a vital part of our pitching staff this year, and he has prepared himself. He's worked hard in the weight room and things. Kind of a very quiet young man that just goes about his business and shows up every day ready to try and make himself a better player. And I told him just not too long ago that we have a big void when losing both Colemans last year, and Brandon Denny and some of our arms, Cole Darnell, and that he needed to step in and be ready to fill those shoes, and I know he's going to be excited about the opportunity to do that. And Jadron Guthrie, our last senior, is right in that same mix. Going to be important for us not only on the pitcher's mound, but he really has a chance to nail down one of the outfield spots. And so as we look at these 4 seniors, just as any program would say, we'll go as those guys lead us. And so I'm just excited to see what those 4 can do for us, because the opportunities are certainly going to be fair for them.
Yeah, and talking about Matt and Jadron, it's very rewarding as a coach to see guys like that have waited their turn, have put the work in, and then finally get rewarded, their senior year. So that's great. Talk about, which I think I already know this answer, but just so everyone out there can hear it from you, talk about this year's team expectations and or goals for this year.
Play to the last day is always the expectation. It's always the goal. We have stepping stone goals on the way there. Obviously want to be able to try and take care of our conference, which is going to be a tough chore this year. With our pitching staff, we're going to be very similar to what we've been the last 2 years with pitching to contact, making sure that we're making routine plays, because we're probably not going to strike out, a bunch of opponents. And that was very evident in our scrimmage games and first game the other day that, we had 21 putouts in the game or to be made, and we only struck out one guy. And so our defense is going to have to step up, be ready to accept that challenge of making plays game in and game out. And, yes, in very tough situations at times, as our schedule doesn't get any easier this year. And so we've referenced that early on with our guys, and we work very hard on the defensive end to try and make sure that we take care of our pitching staff. But we definitely are just as I said, it's just a tiered set of goals, from taking care of the conference first and into the sectionals, which sometimes it's not an easy sectional championship game when you're facing somebody's number one arm, and knowing that some of the teams up the river have been very successful in the little leagues and stuff, and they have that one arm that on any given day can come and knock you off. And so being able to understand that sometimes the record that comes into those games doesn't mean exactly what the makeup of that team is, and that guy on the mound on any certain day can come and nail down an offense. And so being able to find different ways to win, which we've kind of prided ourselves in that, not only being able to work hard on the offensive end to try and hit some balls around, but if we need to play the short game to try and win a game in a close situation, then we're kind of built that way to do that. To continue the run of the district championships and find our way back through the regionals again. I know that Berlin Highland will be sitting there again, and Newark Catholic's in our division this year, which is a Division IV power year in and year out, and they play a tough schedule just as we do. And so there are all kinds of teams that will be standing in the way there in the Central District and the regionals. And as we move forward, we're going to do our very best to find our way back to Huntington Park again.
All right. So you guys always have a strong team motto that I know you reference throughout the year and really try to ingrain in the kids, and it usually means a lot to you and something that you're trying to preach for that year. So talk about a little bit about your team motto, what it is this year, and then talk a little bit about it.
Our team motto this year is to empower others. It's kind of a unique motto because usually I would say that you have a goal in place or a motto in place that probably drives your team internally, and then almost even the wording of it would probably make you think, hey, this is something that we want to do as not only as individuals but as a team. And so I think as I've coached more and more, the value of trying to empower others, just as we referenced it this year, is very, very important for our young men to understand that if we're finding a way to try and be a blessing to other folks, day in and day out, not only from, a player standpoint, but as a student athlete in the classroom, as a community member. I told our young men when I first explained it to them back in December that I wanted every one of their friends to look at them and say, I want to be exactly like that guy. I want them to look at you as from a character standpoint, from an integrity standpoint, from a leadership standpoint, and say that there's just something different about that guy. And it's a big challenge. I know that when you're talking 15 through 18-year-old kids and having that type of mindset is challenging in this day and age with so many different avenues for them to be entertained in. And but that's where we are from the expectations of baseball. How we want our young men to just pursue their daily lives, the same high expectation is going to be in place. And so, our mothers have taken it on, to put it on some shirts and put it on some of the signs around and things. So I'm excited about it. Something that I've always put a lot of thought into, listen to, sometimes sermons, sometimes I read, talk about it with our coaching staff and things, and I just thought it was the right fit for our 2018 team.
All right, it sounds great. Now, why don't you talk about, so you've played one game at the VA last Saturday. Why don't you go and talk about this week's schedule? As it stands now, weather permitting, of course.
Yeah, yes, Mother Nature is wreaking havoc right now, but, it's just something that, I always talk to our guys, about the different transitions. I know that, from my time, being around Coach Barrick during the early years of, being here at Wheelersburg, I know that's something that he preached quite a bit in my time, a couple times that I was able to speak with him, and being able to handle those types of moments and not trying to control the uncontrollables, and that's where you are with the weather. And I just tell our guys that whatever each day presents, we have to win the day. If it's a practice day and we're in the gym or we're down fortunately at the turf there at the football field, which we've been blessed to have in our back pocket, those days have to be days of growth. I mean, I know every coach will either say there's not much in between. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. And So during a stretch like we've had thus far, where we've played one game, through the course of the first 7 or 8 days that we've had the potential to play games, there'll be many teams that might go out and be a little rusty and make excuses for those moments, but that's not how we're wound. And I make sure the guys understand that we're going to come each day and prepare, and whenever the weather allows us to go out, we're going to go and play a high level of baseball, and that's what we expect them to do, and they know that.
All right, so what can we expect? Today is Tuesday, right? Yeah, I think my days are messed up, but today's Tuesday. So what's on the schedule right now for this week, and at least what's scheduled?
We have we're supposed to play Northwest today, but unfortunately, yes, the weather has already canceled that game, and the rest of the week is filled with conference games as well. We're supposed to play West at home tomorrow. Then we were supposed to host Northwest on Thursday, and then I believe travel to Oak Hill on Friday. Then, because of the makeup situation and things, as we look forward, even the following week is jam-packed. We begin the week with Oak Hill again, and these, the new conference format that we went to here a year or two ago, where we plan just one day in between on these back-to-backs. And so I haven't, I guess, had any dispute about, doing it either way. I think people were thinking that, some teams were saving pitchers, and but the fortunate part is, we try and prepare multiple guys on our staff. And so if we have to play, a Monday and a Tuesday, or whether it's a Monday, Wednesday, we're going to go out and compete and try to win a baseball game. And so, the new format really hasn't bothered us too much. But the following week, yes, beginning with Oak Hill, and then we are at Greenup County on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we have Minford at home. Then we have another makeup game. We're supposed to travel to West that day, and then the next day we're going to travel to Minford before we finish the week with Hillsboro, who I know has a good club this year. And so a very jam-packed 2 weeks. And then I know if I even look into the following week, we get into the Greenup County tournament after playing 2 conference games on Monday and Tuesday versus South Webster. We play Rowan County on Wednesday. We then play Ashland on Thursday. We have to host Waverly on Friday, which is going to be a huge conference game in the mix of all those Greenup County games, before playing Newport Central Catholic on Saturday. So 3 weeks, there's not going to be much time for breath if the weather starts to turn, and we just got to embrace it, try and run through it the best that we can. We tried to prepare our guys conditioning-wise, and obviously day-to-day try and prepare them mentally for the grind of a baseball season.
Yeah, and I always love, your guys' non-conference schedule. It's always really tough, and you'll play anyone and anywhere, and play in Walmart parking lot if you have to. So I think it's a great mentality to have, and I think it shows with your kids. And like you said, I think that would be really tough. All these, you get amped up to play in a game, and then the weather happens and it gets canceled. So I think you guys do a great job with that, and I think it shows. So we wish you the best of luck. We'll try to touch base with you every so often here throughout the season as we can. So we appreciate you joining us.
Appreciate the coverage, and the Bird fan crew. I know it's become a crew over the last few years, and it's one way that I know that people from far and wide, that are Bird fans all around the country, still tune in and come not only to the tournament games, but it's even kind of branched into some of the big regular season games. And so we appreciate it. I know it takes time out of everybody's just normal everyday schedules to away from their families and things, and so just appreciate whoever's able to come out and sit up there and provide some entertainment around a baseball game.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Once again, thank you to Coach Michael Estep for giving us the season preview. We'll try to touch base with Coach Estep throughout the year as time permits, and same with Coach Ruby. So once again, to wrap up today's show, both softball and baseball are home tomorrow. That's Wednesday, April 4th, against West Side. Both softball and baseball are home. Berg fan will be at the home baseball game versus West, and we might even have a surprise appearance from the Duke. He might come out of hibernation for that one. We'll see. So we hope to see you guys tomorrow. And also thank you again to our sponsor who made this preview show happen. That's Misty's Cone Shop. So check out Misty's during Pirate Hour. Get you a milkshake and a footer and help out our sponsors because they're helping us out, and we really appreciate it. So see you tomorrow, Berg fans.